You could just stop at the, whatever the convenience store is in the airport and pay like $10 for a little bag of, pistachios or something. That's it. That's what you get. Welcome, everyone. We're live. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Monday, the 6th of December, 2021. And I'm hearing myself talk, so I need to get rid of the sound on the YouTube thing. All right, great. Live stream is working. Good to see Giovanna and Stuart and Lindsay and Virginia and Missy. And we're going to have a fun day today. I've got some great stuff that just came up for me. And I think I'm going to share it with you because you just deserve it. You deserve to hear some great stuff today. I had an interesting morning. My wife is feeling under the weather, possibly food poisoning. She's starting to do better now, so that's good. And then we are, in case I haven't already officially announced it, because we didn't officially know, we are preparing to move. So, and it's a significant move, like a way significant move. So, in fact, we're departing on Christmas Day. How's that for auspicious? Yeah, there you go. Probably nobody else on the road, so probably a pretty good move. But anyway, we've got so much going on in our world, and I was just before I logged in here, I was speaking with a group of new entrepreneurs who are looking to take on e-commerce and business and be self-reliant and escape the clutches of corporatism and all this. And because I get to talk with a group of people, I get to have a variety of perspectives. And because of these perspectives, it reminds me of my own perspective on stuff and how that's malleable, how that could be right or wrong. Okay. It could serve me or not serve me. So I want to kind of take that up a little bit today. Before I do that, though, I will remind everyone that tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern US time, we have our book study group with Dr. Joseph Murphy, Power of Your Subconscious Mind, chapters 9, 10, 11, 12, which go right into wealth creation, success, making money, right? So we're finally on those chapters. We've been through 1 through 8. And so now we're going to do 9 through 12. And if you haven't read it yet, dig in on these chapters because there's some really good stuff and some affirmations, which I've also shared here with the group that I got right out of these chapters that serve me still. So I'm excited about getting to review this with you all for the first time. Stuart's saying activated charcoal for food poisoning. You know what? I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay. We'll get that handled. Thank you. So here's the idea. So I'm talking to this group and the question comes up because I bring it up. What do you want? So here are all these people ostensibly who have enrolled in a course of instruction for the purposes of becoming profitable with an online business. And so the question, what do you want, comes up. And the variety of answers I get, it's always very revealing. And this is going back to, yes, Missy, it's going back to Neville, right? Where he went to his mentor and his mentor asked him the one profound question, what do you want? There's lots of ways you could say that too, just with tone of voice, right? And physiology and stuff. What do you want? Right? Or we can get more like Yoda-esque with it, right? What wants you, right? I don't know. We could figure this out. But the idea of having goals, the idea of having a reason for showing up is what I am attempting to introduce into the minds of people who did show up. So already they get my vote, right? Already, wow, they've done something. They've enrolled in, a course of instruction. Well, that's more than a lot of people are doing. Wow. Okay, that's good. They paid money for that. Money. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So to what end? To what end? It would be another way to express that question. To what end are you here? Why are you interested in learning stuff that you weren't interested in learning last week, last month, last year? And the answers are varied and range in specificity from totally vague to definiteness of purpose, as Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich, definiteness of purpose. And so what I attempt to induce is a bit more definiteness, helping people to get unvague, right? That's not a word, but I like it. We need to get unvague here because a lot of times people have when we talk about goals, a lot of times people have this idea that they don't want to limit themselves. Some people, right? I don't want to limit myself. That's actually an answer that I hear sometimes. And so I'll describe the difference between, if you think of a house, right? There's the ceiling and then there's the floor. So we're not building the ceiling here. The ceiling would be the upper limit of, how high does that house go? But the floor, that's not a limit. That's, we could say, a standard, right? And when you enter your house, there may be a little bit of an incline, right? There's a couple of steps or whatever, right? So you're getting up to the standard that would allow you entrance into that house or that business vehicle, metaphorically speaking. So when we set goals, we're not setting limits, we're setting standards. Now, sadly, well, as we go through life, right, people have wins and losses, right? Who doesn't? And but a lot of times, sadly, people fixate their attention on the losses and lower their standards and then lower them again. Oh, and that didn't work out. And then we lower them some more. And the next thing you know, they're serving up the coffee, wearing a green apron, or, wearing an orange apron and selling hammers, or whatever, whatever the bottom rung on their ladder of standards is. So what I think we've got to do is rehabilitate our standards. Again, that's not in every case, that's in some cases. All right. So are your standards worthy of you? Here's the thing. If I'm going to show up and pay money and invest money, time, effort, attention to learn something, well, I damn well better get paid, right? Now, if you've got sort of a defeatist attitude about it, well, I'm just hoping that I can maybe break even or something, or I'm hoping I could survive this next chapter in my life because the last one was pretty rough, right? If that's the conversation, and those standards are really low, then we definitely got to rehabilitate that. And how do we do that? How do we do that? I don't have time to get into this with a lot of people when I'm just meeting them in like a brief session, but how do we do that? Well, it's all in the book that we're reading, right? The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. There are those who, like for example, Maxwell Maltz, psychocybernetics, right? Maxwell Maltz would argue that, well, you can never outperform your self-image. So it's actually your subconscious or unconscious or that innermost belief and expectation about who you are, which actually makes your choice. So you could consciously say, I want this, I want that. Fine, whatever. But as Ralph Emerson said, of what use to make heroic vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is to keep them? So you may have a spurt of motivation, which caused you to take some new action, to enroll in the course, to show up here, whatever, right? You may have a moment of clarity, and sometimes that's all you get is a moment. There it was, it came and it went. Okay, but fortunately for you, you reached in the right direction at that moment because you got a little bit elevated out of the muck of I'm such a loser, and yesterday didn't work out, so but you got a moment of hope, right? I guess that's the on-ramp, is hope. It's better than despair and apathy, right? It's not quite belief or knowing, right? But it's hope. And so you got a little hope and you reached higher, and now here you are. And then the honeymoon's over in like 5 minutes, and now you get to deal with your life. So how do we consistently move that needle forward to not only say that we have higher standards, but to actually believe it, right? And to behave like it. Because look, if we're going to think, we might as well think big. If we're going to act, let's act big. If we're able to decide who we are, not based on yesterday and whatever precedent we think was set then, okay, but we're able to sort of hit that reset button and say, here's who I am moving forward. Well, then we could have a whole different, bunch of things on the menu. What's on the menu? Despair and apathetic, failures and loss. No, what's on the menu here, because we just went to a new restaurant, is, the wonderful, the spoils of victory, right? Whatever that looks like for you. I can tell you last night, it looked like lasagna for me, right? And then I was looking at some guy with 6-pack abs, and I'm like, so the lasagna doesn't contribute to the 6-pack ab. I've got 4-pack, not 6-pack, right? So, but I like my lasagna. That being said, I totally digress. So that definiteness of purpose is realized internally and then expressed externally when we're no longer separate from it. So here's the consideration. When I see a goal, when I perceive a goal, and I think of it as something, some far off possibility that I hope someday I could have that, then what I'm actually affirming, my innermost belief, the thing I'm actually affirming and acknowledging is that I don't have that. I want that, which means I don't have that. And if you ever read the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, this was a classic back, I don't know, 30 years ago or whatever. And he mocked up this conversation with God. And he's saying, God, I was told that, when I pray, it shall be answered. Seeking you shall find, and asking it shall be given. Well, I've been asking. I want money. I keep saying, I want money. I want money. And you don't answer my prayer. And, the heavens spake, and here was the answer. Yeah, I've answered your prayer. You keep saying, I want money. There you go. You get to want money. Delivered right on schedule. Is that mysterious? So we got to be careful with this inner dialogue, and it's revealed with our outer dialogue, which is why I like to have these conversations with people about what do you want? What are you expecting? Would be another way to ask that. What are you expecting? Well, I just want to learn some stuff, and translation, I don't want to lose too bad like I did last time. Okay. On the other side, we have, you know what? I'm so done with this friggin' job. All I need is 10,000 a month, and I'm getting my walking papers, and they can go screw. Oh. Now that sounds like definiteness of purpose. And I'll tell you what, here's what I've noticed. It's actually easier, if we're just going to quantify things with like money, for example, it's actually easier to get the bigger result. Let's say, for example, the 50,000 than it is to get the 5. If you've got a real reason for the 50, like a real reason, for real, not hope. In other words, the money's already spent. When we look at goals, we look at, why are we showing up in the first place, right? It's to accomplish what? Some experience, some pleasing experience, which correlates with, in this case, with business, right? With the making of money, right? So whether it's the new house, well, that costs money, right? The retirement account, the new car, the education fund for the child, whatever, right? Those are things that include money. There's a financial way to keep score with all that. Okay, so in that case, well, it's good and right, and no apologies. Let's make some money. You've got a reason to make the money, and you can, and you will. Versus, I hope to not lose so much. Wow. So where did that conversation come from? And again, the whole point of me bringing this up is how do we reverse it? Because I think we're all on the continuum somewhere, right? I've used the example of apothecary scales, balancing scales, right? Where you've got the rod or whatever, and then you've got the two things that hold weight, right? And the balancing scales there. And so I've talked about how I may have been loading weight onto the negative side of the scale again and again and again, chronically, habitually, subconsciously, throughout years, decades, lifetimes, right? Right. So here's a very heavy negative side of the scale. And now in my moment of clarity, because I got lofty or something, I put a pebble on the positive side of the scale, but I don't see it move. Well, how do we move the scale? Well, we've got to develop habits of productive, consistent, resourceful, purposeful actions, which include the hardest work of all, which is thinking, right? And we've got to put the positive weight on the positive side of the scale and start to balance that. So all of us have imbalance or balance in some way. We're all in that continuum somewhere. I suppose if we were 100% positive all the time, 100% intentional, 100% certain, like Waddles talked about in The Science of Getting Rich, the certain way, if we were 100% in full knowingness, not belief, not hope, but 100% knowingness. In other words, enlightened. If we were enlightened, well, name it and claim it, right? Instantaneous manifestation, fish and loaves. I'm not there yet. Okay, I'm still working on it, but I would imagine that's what that would look like. And haven't we seen people in our lives, in our midst, in common hours, who seem to have that Midas touch? Maybe you've noticed that for yourself. Maybe that's where you are. Maybe that's where you've been at times. And were you not emotionally uplifted in those periods of your life? Okay. Now, can someone maintain that chronically all the time, 100%? I don't know. I haven't done it. Okay. But I can tell you that when I'm in the flow, I feel like I'm in the flow, and it feels good. It feels good. And it's not looking in the rearview mirror, constantly concerned about yesterday's foibles or blunders, right? It's looking out of that big windshield, right, and seeing where we're going. Here's what's on the menu now. And almost not even noticing those things off to the side, which are distractions, minor barriers. We handle that, right? But we are, as Napoleon Bonaparte said, boy, I'm quoting a lot of people today. As Napoleon Bonaparte said, I see only my objective. The obstacles must give way. That's definiteness of purpose. And when we have that, and we can just, I'll use the word forgive, when we can forgive ourselves for our failings of yesterday, well, now we can raise our standards. Now we could say, you know what, I'm done with whatever was on that menu. I'm not eating at that restaurant anymore. Here's where I'm going. Okay. And then we pick one thing off the menu, one thing off the menu. Sometimes people, they think, well, I need to have like 15 different goals and 100 different affirmations. And oh my goodness, no. What is the one thing? Let's talk short term. Let's talk short term. When you walk into the restaurant, the first thing on the menu is what? Appetizers, right? So little plates, tapas or whatever. And so that's the first thing on the menu, which is fast delivery. Let's get food on the table right now. So what's that short-term goal? And there's more menu. I got it. There's entrees and there's desserts and everything else. But right now, what's the appetizer? And if we can, because that's close to us, we can make that real for us. That's not like, oh, some far off or an hour later, when they're done doing the souffle or whatever, I can finally eat. Right now, I'll take the calamari. For what appetizers do you guys like? Put something in the chat here for me. So I'll have the I'll tell you what my favorite hors d'oeuvre is, like in the world. Some of you know it. It's bacon wrapped scallops. Bacon wrapped scallops. If I'm in like a seafood place and they got bacon wrapped scallops. In fact, at my wedding, I said, I don't give a damn what's on the menu except one thing. One thing, as long as this thing's on the menu, whatever else you want to serve is fine. I don't care. Bacon wrapped scallops. Okay. For some reason, bacon just makes everything better. I don't know. If you're vegan, I don't know what to tell you, but bacon wrapped scallops. So yeah, send in the scallops, right? They take, about 45 seconds each side to cook. The bacon, of course, gets nice and crispy. And so, or I don't know, pick something else, the jalapeno poppers or something, right? With the cheese and everything, right? It's fast, right? And can you get gratification from that? You can. And is it fast? Yes, again, it's not maybe instant gratification, but it's right there. You can reach out and touch it. And what does that do when we reach a small goal, a short-term goal? That validates that we're goal achievers. We're no longer hoping. We're observing the fruit. We are for real, not just forcing an affirmation down our own throat and going into a state of, additional argument and disagreement with ourselves, but for friggin' real. I just accomplished that. And if we are willing to look and confront that and validate that, and not just pass it off as, well, yeah, anybody could have done that, right? In other words, if we stop and smell the roses or eat the calamari, right? Blooming onion, I see that, yeah, indigestion. I hear you, Virginia. Artichokes, sliced meats and cheeses, very nice. Okay, so actually, I don't like artichokes, but a lot of people do. But if we can just validate that. Look, I just accomplished something. I did it. I got off my ass. Behold, results. All right. Who did that? I did that. Hell yeah. You're a goal achiever now. Not hope. You're a goal achiever. Okay, great. What else is on the menu? So I think the short-term goals are vital, critical, especially if someone has succumbed to, well, I can't. I hope, or I'll try. I hope I don't fail too bad. Very different conversation. Now, I'll also offer this. There is the pipe dream people, the pie in the sky people, where I'm going to make $10 million in my first month. And I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but damn it, it's going to happen because, I meditated and got the ethers or something. Okay, whoa. And I don't want to invalidate anyone's lofty goals. Okay. But there is a threshold of believability. Remember, the main prize here isn't that you ate the hors d'oeuvre. It's that you recognized that you did. The prize is your consciousness of being a goal achiever. It's not just the fruit of your labor. It's the consciousness of it. So to lie to ourselves again, just like I can lie to myself and say, oh, I can't accomplish anything because I was such a ne'er-do-well yesterday. To also lie to myself and say, well, I'm going to be a multi-gazillionaire in the next 15 minutes just because I showed up. That's equally damaging to the knowingness of the individual. We're talking about a I suppose a gradient of knowingness down at total ignorance and apathy and you can't do anything, all to enlightenment at the top. So somewhere I want to get up that hill, right? And so if I am offering myself lies once again in either direction, then I'm not doing myself properly. I'm not serving myself. So, all right. Well, gazillions exist. That's fine. Okay. Let's pick a mile marker along the way, and it may be very lofty. Very nice. Yes. But mathematically, we got to cross 100,000 to get to 200,000, right? So how about 100,000, right? And if you do it faster than you thought you would, well, that's fine too. Great. Nobody's pissed off when they reach goals early, okay? But let's put mile markers that you can digest, okay? If I said back to the menu example, by the way, I've never used this example before. This just is coming to me all of a sudden. So here's the menu, right? And there's the hors d'oeuvres, the appetizers or whatever, the soup, the salad, the entrees, the desserts. And if you walked in and you said, okay, I'll take it, right? Like the whole thing, I'll take it all at once, please, right? Does that make any sense, right? Here's the menu. Here's all the stuff. Yes, I'll have it all. Now, please. That's not workable, right? And yet, that's how some people, I would say that they got blinders on to that. I mean, there is such a thing as, when you look at a menu, there is such a thing as, decisions and, discriminating thought, yes to that, no to that. I actually got that joke from, was it Rodney Dangerfield? He was doing like a weight loss bit. And he was talking about, are you one of those people when you go to the restaurant and they bring you the menu, you just say, okay? I'll take it all. I think he was making a joke about Richard Simmons' Deal-A-Meal. You guys remember Deal-A-Meal? So you get the cards and you get to take 3 cards for each meal. And so, Rodney Dangerfield got a card, salad. All right, hit me. Like he's playing blackjack. Hit me. Lasagna. Great. Hit me. Cheesecake. Hit me. More and more and more. Deal-A-Meal. So I'll conclude with this. Are we being real with ourselves to the degree where we're not causing an argument in one direction or another when it comes time to have agreement between what we consciously think about ourselves and what we expect, and those ideas that we're looking to impregnate the ethers, the subconscious, the omniscient, omnipotent, powers, those higher powers, which we're not conscious of. Okay, are we causing an agreement between what we call conscious and subconscious based on the book we're reading, or are we doing ourselves in? Great question. And I think by degree, certainly if you're in this conversation, by degree, you're serving yourself. Okay. And to the degree that you're conscious of your wins and you're validating those and you're continuing to advance in life and not just succumbing and decaying and declining, to that degree, that warrants higher goals. Because the last part of all this would be, once you get the hors d'oeuvre, well, now it's time for the main course. Don't rest on your laurels just because you achieved hors d'oeuvres or something, right? What's the next course? So those are my thoughts for everyone here today. Knowing that you're able and having standards worth showing up for. If you're going to show up, you damn well better get paid, and just knowing what those standards are, and that it's not a limit, right? Because we can keep going higher. We can keep building up. We don't build ceilings here. We only build floors. How about the second floor, the third floor, right? Keep going up. Anyway, that's what's coming out for me today. I love you guys. No respect, I tell you. Yeah. Take my wife, please. Rodney Dangerfield. What a great guy. It wasn't even his name. He made up that name like on the spot because he was filling in for some other guy doing stand-up who was out sick or something. So anyway, you guys have any ideas on this whole idea of what do you want on the menu? Come on out. I see Ace Man, Missy, Christina's here, Daisy, Edward, Giovanna, Janet, Linda, Lindsay, Mandy, Stuart, Virginia. Any ideas? Missy, you got some ideas?
People don't jump out. I'm just a jumper outer. I think something very odd has been happening, because I'm consciously now working my subconscious. You know what I mean by that. But something is coming into that area that I haven't wanted. I didn't put there. And I keep seeing myself on a stage in Idaho. And it is not part of a dream that I had. It's not even consciously in a dream I'm having. I'm doing something to better myself. That's why I'm doing this. And I want to learn more and do more and whatever I can to help our country and better myself along the way. But I just find it strange that is popping up into my mind's eye. And I don't know where that could come from if I didn't put it there. Does your subconscious try to tell you something? I'm not sure yet. But I just thought it was an interesting thing. It's been going on for about a week, and hasn't been my goal. It was just part of bettering Missy, which there's a lot of that needs to go along, and I'm doing it. But so I just thought I'd throw it out there. If anybody has an idea, I'd be interested to hear.
Well, yeah, of course. You're getting hunches, you're getting ideas. I mean, when you open up your flows, so to speak, things flow in, right? So rather than being so stuck or rigid, I mean, Missy, you've embraced a lot of possibilities recently, just in the few months that you've been hanging around here. You've embraced a lot of possibilities. Well, that's bound to induce some foresight, some vision, some enthusiasm, ideas. Beautiful. That's being in the flow. That's part of it. Now, you don't know all the mechanics and all the drama that leads up to, whatever triumph. Okay. I don't have all the answers either. I never had to.
Well, pretty soon you got to get one customer, pretty soon. It doesn't appear. There's no, unless I'm cleaning the stage, maybe that's,
okay.
But it's just interesting to me.
Well, it's all by degree. And so the fact that you're inspired, which means what? In spirit, you're in the spirit of production and advancement and all that. Yeah, you are bound to be getting ideas that you didn't even expect before. I've had ideas that have profited me greatly that I never expected. And it's like, I mean, you've read Think and Grow Rich and stuff like that, right? Who was the guy with the benzene atom? He's in a dream. He pictures the entire benzene atom, and he was right.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the guy with the fish, right? And the prehistoric, the bones or whatever, he's trying to assemble the ruins, the fossils. And then he gets this vision at 3 a.m. and he draws it on paper. And next thing you know, in the morning, it's like, no, really? Could that be the thing I'm looking for? And sure enough, there it is, fully assembled. Wow. Which brings up another point. And I'm not going to go too deep down this road right now, but is this our first time around, do you think? I mean, really? Out of the trillions of years of existence, like, well, you're doing the Missy thing right now. What did you do before?
I only did the Missy thing. I got to stick with my faith.
Okay. So, but there's wisdom way beyond what Missy knows. How did that happen? All right. These ideas that come to us. So anyway, thank you, Missy. Glad you're here. You're going to do just fine. And I'm going to get with you again later today because we've got stuff going on, business stuff. Who else has some ideas on this? Janet?
I'm just thinking that Missy is seeing herself being a motivational speaker or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
She motivates me all the time.
But when I get these kinds of things, I don't question it. You know, I don't question what it is. I just, okay, thank you. We'll, you know, as it evolves, it'll be revealed, and it'll be good. So there's just, I do have, when I do have the other kinds of visions, like me falling down the stairs or something, you know, happening, I have for years gone, no, 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 and just reject, reject, reject. And so in the same way, I can see something that is wonderful, and I can say yes, 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 yes. You know, why not the opposite thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using, so I'm enjoying our book. I like to, though, read and think and absorb. So even when I read a novel, I read it dramatically. I read it slowly. I like to get all the juices out. So I'm not speed reading is fine when you need to, but I really like to. And so, of course, we're not tonight yet, but it's like not thinking I am healthy, but just thinking health, or I have lots of money, whatever that, just wealth, just that simply, so that it can work the way it needs to work, not to limit it by just what I'm seeing, but to open it up to all the possibilities there for me. That I mean, it's when we get into something that we then see more doors open. But if we only think it's just what I want is behind that door and that's it, and I don't open myself to all the other doors, then I'm going back to limiting. So I like the suggestion from the book of just the word and not more. I think it's doing good things for me.
Mm-hmm. What did he say? He said, avalanches of abundance should come your way. Direct quote.
And you know what? From that page and your lips to God's ears, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Janet. Glad you're here, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts on this, on picking items off the menu? Yes, Stuart. Hello, sir.
Good day to you, good sir, and everybody else here on the call. Nice to see you guys. Let me lower my hand. Oh, I did already. On standards, critical, right? Setting the bar high, you know, and let's say even rewriting the rules, as many people tell us, right? So setting the bar high, higher than your competitors could even conceive of. Marcus Aurelius says that we must constantly remind ourselves of our standards and who we aspire to be, right? And so there's this connection between the standards that we set and the person that we want to be, or the person that we aspire to be. So I thought that was pretty cool. Couple cool things about standards. Our bath bombs just got listed in several blogs for best bath bombs, like several across the multiverse or whatever. So that was pretty cool. So as we were putting together our e-commerce biz, and you know, made a decision to manufacture personal care products out of our garage, essentially, that we decided that you know, we were going to stick with our integrity in terms of the ingredients that we were going to use for these things, right? So we're 100% organic, no plastic in the packaging, right? All these kinds of things. And of course, we got to charge more for this stuff because we're competing with you know, companies out of China and all this stuff that are making, you know, schlock with dyes, and that's a technical term, right? East Coasters, schlock. But you know, low quality ingredients and all that stuff. And when we first started out, we had concerns that our prices were double or more what other people were charging for the same quantity of items, but the quality, of course, doesn't compare, right? And that was one of our selling points and points of difference and things like that. And it's now come back home where people are seeing that, and we're getting recognized for our standard of quality and purity. In terms of our guide service, I had gotten asked a few years ago to speak about excellence and experience at the Governor's Conference on Tourism here in New Mexico. We got listed in the top 10 tours in America, and I attribute this all to the highest good, setting the standard, beyond, right? Not just, oh, what do those people do, but looking in ourselves and just seeing what the best version of whatever it is that we're doing, how does that translate in the marketplace? So I wanted to share that with you guys. In terms of getting the opposite of what you ask for, right? Joseph Murphy talks a fair amount about this in Power of the Subconscious Mind, right? And why do people get the opposite of what they ask for, right? And you were talking about being in the state of wanting versus the state of having, right? And I think being in the state of having starts with gratitude, as we've talked about a gazillion times on these calls. But yeah, when you're constantly in this mantra mindset of I want this, I want this, I want this, well, that's what you get, is the state of wanting forever, right? And the challenge is to come from or to change our state into the state of having, right? And again, I think gratitude is just being grateful for what you have opens the door for the other things that you believe that you have or deserve. You talked about revision, right? And immediately, Missy, right? I think about our friend Neville and the pruning shears of revision. And so, maybe if we're not getting the results we want, whether it's just, on a moment to moment or circumstantial basis, that we have the ability to rewrite the script, right? And say, okay, well, that didn't work out for me, doing what I'm doing. So let's trim that a little bit. Let's do a little Miyagi bonsai on that, and figure out, change our approach, right? And I think, again, changing our state seems like a super hard thing to do, but it really is as simple as just changing your attitude, right? And it may take a while to work up to that, but you can change your attitude about something and then everything changes. Joseph Murphy talks about how we can revoke situations that we have, right? And he specifically talks about never completing a negative thought, right? He talks about watching what we think, watching what we say, especially in that inner dialogue, never finish a negative thought. Well, maybe we take that a step further and say that we don't finish a statement or an affirmation of a state of wanting, right? And so we change that right in the middle. So instead of like, you're like, oh, I want, don't finish it, flip it around, change it into the state of having that thing versus the state of wanting that thing. The restaurant analogy, I love it, man. I love the restaurant analogy.
I don't know where that came from. They just came to me. Yeah.
That's great, man. I don't, again, I'll refer back to our friend Neville Goddard, who has a couple of stories about restaurants. The first one is where he goes into, I think it's the Waldorf Astoria. He tells this story about how he goes in with a friend of his, and of course this is like in the 1930s maybe, and maybe he's a little disheveled, and he doesn't have a jacket and tie, and so they look down upon him. The waiter treats him poorly when he sits down to order, tells him he can only have this, or this on the menu or something. If anybody knows the specifics of the story, help me finish this in a minute. And the waiter's like, no, you can have, this, you can have, scrambled eggs or whatever. And he gets in a mindset. He's like, no, I want beef Wellington. It's breakfast. And he demands beef Wellington, right, from the waiter. And that's, I think, one story. And again, Missy, if you know if I'm screwing up the story, help me there. The other is that he talks about the restaurant analogy as like the menu is all of the possibilities, all of the things that you can have in your life, and the thing that you pick, the thing that you order, right? And that can even also be a linguistic metaphor, right? Because we talk about commanding our subconscious, right? And speaking in authoritative terms. So what you order is your desire, right? And you can pick anything. What do you want, right? You have to decide what you want. It's also kind of what you're saying, like Napoleon Hill, you make a decision and then you order it. And then you don't, when you order the what was it that you like, the scallops, the bacon wrapped scallops, right? So let's say you go to the restaurant and you order the bacon wrapped scallops, right? You don't sit there at the table going, gee, but how are they gonna be able to make that? They're gonna have to get the bacon from somewhere and cook the bacon, and oh no, and they're gonna have to cook the scallops on a flat, right? So you don't think about how, right? You don't think about the details. You just order it, right? And then the waiter brings it. And I think that's another metaphor, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, right? Our conscious mind orders something, and the subconscious mind is the waiter that brings you your order. Anyway, great chat today, man.
Great. Thank you, Stuart. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight, and everyone who's going to tune in tonight for our book study group to dig in more to these chapters in this book. So there's so many great ideas in there. All right. Anybody else before we wrap up today? While Stuart was talking, I think I was watching Giovanna brush her dog or something. I'm not sure what she's doing. Hey, Giovanna, good to see you. Any other thoughts? Okay, very good. Then let's go ahead and wrap up with that. I'll be back here tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you do have a friend you want to bring in who's into this sort of, reading books and stuff, jlsuccessmastermind.com/books. And then go ahead and get on the list, the reading list with all that. So I will look forward to seeing you all then. In the meantime, let's make it a great day and check your menu and choose well. All right. See you guys.